I want to welcome the GMs and the wives, the godly men and the warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic women out there. Blessed be the Lord my strength, which teacheth my hands to war, and my fingers to fight, my goodness and my fortress, my high tower, my deliverer, my shield, and he in whom I trust, who subdueth my people under me. That's from Psalms 144, 1 and 2. And the topic for today is, when they're giving you hell, you give them the wrath of the ancestors. Now, I'm very much aware that Jesus also tells us to love our enemies. And sometimes the best way to love is to stand your ground. Sometimes the best way to love is to not waver. Sometimes the best way to love is to choose to give through compassion and peace, but only fight with your words. Because we fight not in the flesh and blood as godly people, but we fight in the spirit, right? So there are a lot of different kinds of people that are going through a lot of different kinds of things right now. And if you're watching this, I urge you to fight for your life and treat your life as if it's worth fighting for. Because if you don't value yourself, you're not going to be able to fight for what you believe in, what you stand for. And here on this channel, we don't back down. We reload, we strike again. We get back up. We don't necessarily just let people do things to us when we don't want to stand for it. We're no longer the people pleasers that this society wanted to create us to be. You see, society wants you to have learned helplessness. Society wants you to participate in the excursion of your own life. They want you to live a life where you feel like you're on vacation all the time. And yet really what you're doing is selling your soul. I say unto you that the real life that you are seeking is in the struggle. It is in the pain. And that is also where you're going to find beauty. If you are any kind of workout enthusiast of any kind, you'll completely understand where I'm coming from with this, because you'll understand also that the warrior mindset that you have when you're working out is unsurpassable in regard to making yourself a formidable opponent unto yourself. Because it is just us versus us at the end of the day. It's me versus me. For you, it's you versus you. And so ultimately, I have a lot of people that I've seen, if I'm doing either consultations with them or working in the school community that we have, and people will say, oh, sorry about this. Sorry I didn't get that down. I don't want to let you down. And it's like, you're not letting me down. This is about you. This is about you. I can show you the door, but you're going to have to be the one to walk through it. And I'm not talking about anybody specifically here. I'm just saying that this has been a general theme over the course of the last year and a half that I've been doing this kind of thing. And so I've noticed that there's a unique frame of mind in which people have to place themselves in order to transcend those thoughts. You have to accept that the thoughts that you're having are merely figments of your being, and you can reorganize and re-strategize your programming to not fit what society plans for you. Society wants you to be in self-doubt. Society wants you to forget about who you are and what you really want and what your dreams are, because they don't want you to create what you want to create. And I've made videos recently where I've mentioned something like this, where you're either creating your reality or you're letting reality create you. And I don't see how there's any other way. Because if you're not creating reality, and I'm not saying that you're creating your reality itself, but you're a part in it. You're either moving with the current or you're not. If you're trying to swim against the current, well, good luck. I'm going to be down here downstream and going to paradise, the oasis of paradise itself, down the line, because I know that with life, trying to control things that I cannot control is completely not worth it. It is completely a misrepresentation of your own time, and it's a misuse of your own time. We all have a limited amount of time on this earth, and when you realize that the breaths that you have, that's not going to last forever. It might feel like sometimes it might last forever, but when you have the heart of a lion and you are willing to get your hands in the dirt, not just physically, but metaphorically speaking, and speak the truth into being, I found that the greatest spiritual fights that I've been in have been when I speak the truth and accept the consequences of anything that follows. Because I know that the truth is going to be ultimately more important. And whatever I get because of that consequence for speaking the truth is going to be what is necessary in order for the collective consciousness to proceed and to grow as one. You see, how many people on, I don't even know if I can say this January 6th, I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but on January 6th, years ago, for the United States, there are still people that are unlawfully incarcerated because of the stance that they took. And it's not right. In fact, there are people now, as we speak, that are being put into jail because of their political background. I'm not a politician. In fact, I think politics are among the most disgusting things and unnecessary things that we can go through as a society, or what we have ever instilled into our society, but that is what it is. However, that does not mean that sometimes what I'm going to speak into being is going to infiltrate the ideologies of any kind of political party out there. And I'm well aware of this. I'm well aware that the stance that I take is not necessarily going to be one that is meant to... I ought to say this. My goal is to unify ultimately, but I understand that sometimes in order to unify, we must create boundaries, and we must create not necessarily division to conquer, but division to see who's who and what's what. Separating the wheat from the tare, right? That's what we're doing. And if you're going to be in this spiritual fight for truth, you have to recognize that you're available to die. Okay? You're available to die. And if you can accept this tough love of a truth, then you'll be able to move in life with a newfound energy with you, a newfound zest with you. I don't, like this life that I live, as peaceful as it is, I also enjoy the times where I have to struggle, because it shows me just how much I can grow and how much I can take, because God will, what's the saying, right? It's like, if God wants to raise you up, first he's got to lower you, or you have to be willing to be lowered. And if you're willing to be lowered, then you can be raised up. It's almost like, think about it in terms of either finance or just life in general. You don't want to spend too much time or too much energy or too much of your resources on things that you're not willing to lose. And you don't want to invest too much into something or someone or a relationship or whatever unless you're willing to lose it. And you have to be willing to lose some of it. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. But you have to be able to risk. And I've been able to understand for myself how to set time aside and set my resources aside to ensure that there's a proper general increase of growth in this section, while in this section I'm able to make certain risks and make certain changes that might fluctuate a lot. There's going to be a lot of high risk, high reward. But over here, there's going to be low risk, low reward. But the reward is, and the probability of the reward is greater than the high risk, high reward section. That's just how I view life in general. And that's the way that I operate, because I want to make sure that I'm being as strategic as possible in growth without being a detriment and a liability unto myself. I want to make sure that I'm consistently being an asset unto who I am and what I'm about. And I'm not going to create unnecessary competition that might inhibit and prohibit, rather, my growth as an individual in my physicality, emotionality, and spirituality altogether. So this is a call for encouragement to continue in the fight. And you have to be willing to give these people that want to see you fail, that want to see you not successful, you have to be willing to show them what they missed out on, to show them that they're wrong. And it's not for them to see. It's for you. It's for you to see that you're far more capable of what you ever thought you were. When you're on the righteous path, when you are walking with God, there's nothing that I feel that I cannot overcome, even when I'm in the darkest of times sometimes. Whenever I just feel God's presence with me, I'm in the gym and there's some temptations, or there's people staring at me, mean mugging me. Whenever I'm out and about, there's guys that are just looking like they want to come. They just want to start something. It's like, what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do? You going to do something? Or are you just going to look at me like a mean person? Like, why are you so mad, bro? Like, I get there's a lot going on in this world, but I didn't do anything. I haven't done anything. And you have to treat this life, again, like it's worth fighting for. Because it is worth fighting for. And that good in our lives is worth fighting for. That good in our lives is worth standing up for. Praise Jesus. And may the peace and grace of Jesus be with you all.